The poem The Nile by John Keats. We have to continue the knot from the previous session, not from the previous session. Let's remind the poem once. Take your poetry book to the Nile. Son of the old moon mountains, African, chief of the pyramids and crocodile, we call thee fruitful, and that very while a desert fills our seeing's inward span. Nurse of the sought nations since the world began, art thou so fruitful, or dost thou beguile such men who honor thee, who worn with toil, rest for a space twixt Cairo and Deccan? Now we discussed and wrote down the note up to this place. We divided the poem into two parts. What are the two parts? What are the two parts? Do you remember? We divided the poem into two parts. We call it a Petrarchan sonnet. What are the two parts? I am checking your previous session's learning. One answer came. Oshanda, very good. Ihara, very good. What are the two parts? Octave and sestet. We discussed and wrote down the octave, notes on octave, first 8 lines. Today we have to write down our comments on this sestet. Now in the octave, the poet presents his problem, his issue. His problem is the Nile. Nile's superpowers. Nile's strange character as seen by the Africans. Now in this sestet, he presents his answer, solution. Why African believe so? The reason for their belief. Why they believe in nature in that way. Okay. Write down. Next paragraph. In the opening octave, the poet presents his problem regarding the Nile's extraordinary the Nile's extraordinary characteristics. Characteristics as believed by the Africans. As believed by the Africans. Full stop. The Africans believe, the African believes the African believes that the Nile is not an ordinary river, and its origin is origin. Origin means birth. Its origin is the heavenly mountains. Origin is the heavenly mountains. They believe it to be a child of some heavenly parents. Heavenly parents. Please copy the first line. Son of the all moon mountains, African. Son of the all moon mountains, African. Go right in. Even the poet uses this belief. Even the poet uses this belief to address the Nile, by personifying it as son of some all parents. All parents known as moon mountains. highlight, Moon Mountains. Moon Mountains. Full stop. The African event enlarges, ENLARGS, enlarges the powers of the Nile, the powers of the Nile powers of the Nile by making him the ruler, making him the ruler of the huge pyramids, HUG, huge man-made pyramids, the huge man-made pyramids and the ferocious, ferocious, ferocious crocodiles, ferocious crocodiles. Full stop. However, these two opening lines of the sonnet, indirectly manifest, manifest, indirectly manifest means show, indirectly manifest the Nile's beauty in nature, It begins from the snow-capped, SNOW, snow-capped, CAPPED. It begins from the snow-capped mountains and gracefully flows down flows down, FLOWS, flows down giving life to its surroundings, giving life to its surroundings. 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 Next paragraph. Each accepts, each accepts the fact that Nile is an ordinary river with its unique, unique, specific, with its unique natural beauty, with its unique natural beauty, but he does not believe, he does not believe the Nile has been, the Nile has been a powerful and resourceful river, a powerful and resourceful river, as the African believes, as the African believes. Full stop. In the remaining lines of the octave, in the remaining lines of the octave, it presents the paradoxical, 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 paraspara, unmatching, contradictory, paradoxical nature of the Nile. Please quote these lines. We call thee fruitful, and that very while a desert fills our scenes span, inward span, seeing's inward spans. We call thee fruitful, and that very while a desert fills our seeing's inward span, seeing's inward span. Go on writing. The poet comments, next paragraph, the poet comments that the belief, comments that the belief attached ATTACTCHED attached to the Nile are contradictory. CONTRA contradictory. DICTORY contradictory are contradictory chat box check करा to the realistic nature of the Nile. Realistic nature of the Nile. He argues, next sentence, ARGUES, he argues that the Nile is not that fruitful. The Nile is not that fruitful because on either side, EITHER, either means both, two. On either side of the river bank, on either side of the river banks, there is an empty, barren, BARREN, barren desert without green lush LUSH as far as the eye can see. As far as the eye can see. EYE, as I can see. Please quote this line. You have already quoted it. No problem. A desert fills our seeing's inward span. Go on writing. Therefore, The poet does not. Therefore, the poet does not believe. The Nile is a perfectly fruitful river. The Nile is a perfectly fruitful river. A perfectly fruitful river. Because 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 there is no signs of fruitfulness. There is no signs of fruitfulness around the river. The Africans, the Africans still suffer from the Africans still suffer from nature's hardships, but the Nile is believed to be but the Nile is believed to be the highlight and quote to the same sentence or sentence එකටම quote කරන්න මේක nurse of, but the Nile is believed to be the nurse of short nations. Full stop. The poet directly questions. The poet directly questions the Nile's fruitfulness. The Nile's fruitfulness. Nile's fruitfulness. Or that the Nile is a cheater, cheater, deceiving the Africans, deceiving the Africans, who respect and honor him, who respect and honor him. Please quote, art thou so fruitful, or dost thou beguile such men to honor thee? Such men to honor thee. Go right in. The poets questions regarding the Nile's, the poet's questions regarding the Nile's fruitfulness and truthfulness, 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 are answered in the following sestet. In the following sestet. In the following sestet. 6 lines. Sestet means 6 lines. Okay, we write down the notes on that sestet in the next session. In the next session,